There is no, yeah.
Please
Good
find your
morning.
seats.
Yep. No, don't do it. I can do it. Good morning. Please sit down, get ready to learn about what's coming, what's next. Maybe the world is crazy these days. I start. Yeah. Look at this, Marcus, full of people, even in the almost last session.
I met someone that just said they only got out of bed this morning to go to this session.
I'm not surprised.
All right. Yeah, it was Agatha. I hope we're not going to disappoint you. Okay. Welcome to the What's New session. Some people drifting in. We will go through the plan for the next, not only the next year, but a little bit into the future as well, and show you some of the plans, the objectives we have set for the software. And
so we are Marcus and Marta?
Yeah. That's true.
He's Marcus. I'm Marta.
Eminem, yeah. Thanks, Jim.
I think it's clear that we didn't plan how to start.
Yeah,
But
we
going
planned
well,
the rest
going
of
well.
this very well, so
Yeah.
we hope you're happy.
This is not working.
It's not
Tick,
working?
tick. Oh, I think we ran out of battery.
Oh, we have to click over here, I think. I'll do the first click. Oop. No.
Okay, it's working.
All right,
We're ready?
we're ready.
Okay. So, I mean, you know what's next. We do this every year. We're here to share with you what are the plans ahead. But we're going to stop a little bit before that and dedicate a few minutes to the roadmap process because there have been some changes happening in the last 2 years, and we want to share them. So you might remember, I mean, many years back, we did start making the roadmap process collaborative and asking for inputs, etc. And that was great. Even 2 years ago, we did a voting process, and that was great. It was very useful. However, it had some challenges. One of them was that we got a huge variety of inputs from many different sizes, from I need a button to click here and do this quickly to I need multiple hierarchies in my DHIS2. So it was a bit difficult to plan and really make deep analysis playing with all those levels. The other side of it, or the other difficulty, is that it was super varied and kind of it was difficult to set a strategic approach with all those different inputs responding to very specific use cases. So last year, we already started being more strategic. So the roadmap that we are seeing today is strategy-led. It's not the first year. We started last year. And that means that we are setting first our strategic priorities. Where do we want to go? And that is a long-term thing. That's maybe 4 years, 5 years. And that level is defined by the challenges that we hear about every day, and mainly from the HISC network, but also from all of you. And then we set those priorities. Next step is we define more specific objectives. And those objectives are maybe 1, 2 years, and we can kind of, I mean, I'm not going to talk about KPIs. We all know each other. We are not there. But they can let us assess ourselves in a more specific way. Have we reached this objective? And then down we have the initiatives. And it's between these two levels, oh, I have this, cool, where we actually bring in all your inputs. So it's not that they are not there. We are still looking at Jira, Discovery, the COP, to build this from your inputs. But we make sure we do this first without bias. I mean, the bias of the challenges, to be honest. So we are going to live today between these two, objectives and initiatives. This is setting the vision, and this is the actual, how are we doing this? So the roadmap actually lives here at this level. But before setting a bit the context up there, what are the strategic priorities? And this process, I'm going to go back 1 second. This is led by implementation, engineering, and product. It's actually informed by implementation. And the first step is implementation lead. So in that process, there were these 3 strategic priorities resulting. Each of them has maybe 3 or 4 pages of underlying challenges, how to respond, and this and that. But we couldn't go to that level here. Mainly, strategy 1, maintain and sustain high-quality DHIS2 implementations. It's not said, but it's mainly addressing long-term implementations, those that are 15 years, 20 years, combining metadata, having changes, so all the metadata integrity, and of course, performance in huge databases over there. Second one, interoperability and extension. Third one, data use, data analysis. Make the data easier, or the access to data easier for the end user. So I'm not going to say more, because I think I'm eating a lot of minutes. And then now we move to the what's next. We hope to have time for questions at the end. But don't forget them. Write them down or something, because we are going to impress you now with all the plans, and you might forget the doubts. So, Marcus, I think we can jump into this now, right?
Yeah, so for the next part of the session, what we will do is, you saw the 3 levels. We will go through the second level. There is 10 objectives that we are making some progress on in 43. Most of them have also planned tasks in 44. Some of them are getting finished in 43. But we will show you the 10 objectives and talk about what we do to each of them. And for the first objective,
not surprisingly,
we have
it's climate, and Rebecca will tell us about it.
So I think hi, everyone. It's fun to be up here today. So I am the implementation person on the stage. We are a tripod here when it comes to engineering, product, implementation. We all share a roadmap and we generate this together. And I think, as Kristen said, we do have a new girl in town, climate and health tools. And we wanted to make sure that everyone knew that this is actually a part of our DHIS2 roadmap, right? So these tools, they are fully integrated into DHIS2. They're going through processes of very rapid iterative development. So all of these are in continuous release right now. We're getting a lot of requirements in almost real time, weekly, from the 10 pilot countries. And so this is a phase with these tools where everything's moving very fast right now because it's so new. However, none of this works if we are not sitting on top of the platform strategy of the sustainable DHIS2 system, of the good metadata quality, of the extensibility support, and of course, all of the performance that DHIS2 also gives you. So on behalf of Geir Kjetil and the CHAP team, the CHAP modeling platform, this is actually, I think, the first time DHIS2 has done this. This is its own little piece of software. And GK doesn't like it when I say this, but we say this modeling platform, it is the engine that runs behind the modeling power. So everything in DHIS2, unfortunately, until now is pretty retrospective. But we know that data use and analysis, we need to look ahead. We need to anticipate. And so this is what the CHAP modeling platform, it is a first of its kind innovation in the sense that everyone in the world was making models, but there was no shared modeling infrastructure. So this CHAP platform, you don't really see it unless you're one of those people that does command line code and things, but it is sitting behind you. There are so many requirements going into this that make it possible to run very complex analyses, to start looking ahead. But the way that you interact with CHAP is through the DHIS2 modeling app. So these two pieces, they go together. They have a joint roadmap. The DHIS2 modeling app, that's where the user interfaces with CHAP, makes these predictions. So there will be a lot of work this year on how do we make the evaluation process better. So we can't use predictive analysis if we don't really feel like we trust our information, our data, our predictions, that they can be actionable. And the only way we can do that is to engage users very broadly and deeply and over time to build trust in those predictions. And so the way we do that is through the DHIS2 modeling app. So we will have new visualizations. We want to be able to make it easy to compare models. We also want to make it easy for local developers, local modelers, to be able to tweak, to tune, to configure their own model, to insert their own custom model from the universities that they're working with. So over the next year, you'll be seeing a lot of these, and they happen on continuous release. So sometimes these could be coming out as much as every week. So stay tuned. The DHIS2 Climate app, this is also on continuous release. We really feel that this is fully production ready. It's the climate app, but it is so much more. This is actually the way that you can import and harmonize all types of geospatial data. So we really encourage you to think of this app not only for climate, but for bringing all these types of geographic data into DHIS2 to improve your analysis in the Maps app, bring in elevation, bring in vegetation, bring in climate, bring in all of these things, but also be able to harmonize it, grid it, and use it. So next up, it'll be pollution. And another really exciting thing that we have been working on, Bjorn and the IRI team, Columbia University has supported many countries through an ACTS project to have a local map room, and that's where they manage all of their local climate data. So we've worked with that team to develop an API, and I think this will be released probably in the next month or so, but essentially with Malawi, the first test case, to make it a seamless integration of your local climate data with these maps room and having it available to the public health sector through DHIS2. So I will stop there and hand it back to my colleagues.
Thank you.
No, the other one.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca. That was an amazing review of a lot of improvements and things upcoming for climate. So what's our next objective, Marcus? Tracker to aggregate. So we are going to follow this logic, set the vision, and then, I'm repeating, I know, set the vision, and then explain how to get there. This is an easy one, and it's not new. We started last year, if not before. And the vision is to have core reliable features to aggregate your individual data into aggregate data within the core solution of DHIS2. And this is addressing the 3 main strategy priorities. You're going to see the legend down here in all slides. We don't need to stop there from now. So how are we going to do this, Marcus?
Yes, thank you. The first thing the first big thing we're working on here is in the data exchange solution. We have something called the stale zeros challenge, but it's really a bigger problem. We need the better logic and better UI for setting up the mappings and moving the tracker data into aggregate. So we are working on the solution with the data exchange, and this is going to we hope to finish this in 43. One of the other things we are doing is PI disaggregation, and this one we almost removed because we are so close to done. We are doing some wrap-ups. You have seen the demo. Jim has showed it off at multiple occasions, and we know some countries that already started using it. It's still here for the wrap-up reason, and we have been working on this for a while. We also are talking about the PI disaggregations on Android, but the timeline here is a little bit longer. Actually, we are looking into the analysis on how important it is, for example, and whether and what we are doing in the end is not completely clear. We know we're not going to do it in 43 though, so that's why we have 44 here. So happy with your feedback on this one if you have any.
Thank you, Marcus. So the next one, and these 2 are actually super top, both of them, is performance. So again, this is not new. We have been working on this for many, many years, but we have not yet reached our vision. And the vision is that big countries can implement DHIS2 with tracker programs in a comfortable manner without worrying about, of course, you have to worry about your infrastructure and how you estimate, but knowing that the system will perform. So there are many actually pieces of work looking at this. So if you want to share some details, Marcus.
Yeah, so performance is something we have been standing here and talking about every year on the what's new and what's next. And we have always moved. But the one thing we have always been missing from the engineering side and probably from your side is that we haven't had a very, very good lab and a very hard goal. So this is the first thing we're focusing on now. We are building an infrastructure to run our code through, if not on every PR, at least in intervals, to see that we are becoming faster, to know how much faster the code is, and to ensure that we keep our eyes on the goal. So this is the big one we are working on right now. We expect that we will have new initiatives in 44 based on the measurements, the learnings from this test lab, call it that. And those are slotted for future 44, part of the same objective. You might also wonder why there is so much white space in the middle there. The reason is that we are, as we always have, we keep doing the obvious things, these things. We are doing a lot of improvements to make the code faster and more reliable. And here we have listed the initiatives that are ongoing that we are also planning to finish in 43. In addition, we are really making a push for telemetry now. We really want to have eyes into the field to see uptake, to get data, to see the shape of your instances. So we really hope you want to share back too, because this is going to be really useful information. And we are making a big push in 43 to make your instances call home. And we're not doing that because we're big and evil. We're doing that because we really want to help you guys.
And then the next objective is improving the functional extensions for data collection. So the objective of being or improving the extend side of the DHIS2 as a platform has been there for a long time. But the focus in the upcoming year is on data collection. And the vision is that all data collection apps, and that is the capture app, that's the data entry app, and that is the Android app in the DHIS2, have extension points so that you can develop your UI or your user experience to be tailored to the actual user flow and use case. Over.
So there are many things we are doing in this objective in 43. And the first I want to mention is that we know that the custom forms have been a pain point. And unfortunately, at the moment, to be completely frank, is this being filmed, Max? No. We are not able to do all kinds of custom forms on version 42. So there is a lot of custom forms around the world that would just not work in version 42. And we want to fix that. What we're doing there is that we are making a plugin point, so we are making a plugin that will sandbox, look like the old app, and let your custom forms keep working. Hopefully with as little as possible or even no steps from you, except installing the plugin. We're also building a plugin point that will allow you to do other things in the data inside the data entry app. Inside the normal workflow, you can add on and build other things if there is useful, if there is use cases that is not fully captured by the standard app. So these are the two things I want to mention on the first one. Then we are also in the capture app. We already had plugin support for a while. We have many places you can do plugin points. We have two. This is the third one. We will allow plugging in to the front page list, the working list. And we are also building an example plugin here for doing line row-based data entry. So it's going to be easier to configure and build data entry that looks like your register, if that's what you want. And then we have custom intents on Android, which is which we have been working on for a while, and we are now targeting the October release. So I hope this was worth getting up for Agatha. It is coming in the October release. That's our plan. We have done some work on this already, and we are pretty confident that we will be able to hold that timeline.
That's why Agatha didn't want to miss this session.
Yes. Okay. On Android, we are also doing some POC in 43 for plugins. We have sort of had we haven't had the same sort of plugin option on Android as we have had on web for a long time. We have had the SDK, yes, you could build your own UI on top, but we're now doing a POC and looking into how we can make plugins for Android as well. We are not delivering anything in 43 though, we are targeting 44 for this. There is ongoing work now already. And the last one that's worth mentioning, even though it's potentially not getting into 43, I know, Austin, you're looking into some minimal version of this and looking into what we can do in 43, but what we really want is to sandbox the plugins more and make them make a barrier between the plugin and the rest of the solution, so that you can give more targeted access to code that you install via plugins, via the app store, plugins and apps, I'll say. And this work is also starting in 43, but we are planning to have a product in 44. Okay, next one.
And the next two objectives are about metadata management. First one is on metadata management workflows. What we mean with workflows is workflows between a testing server or a dev server, a staging server, and a production server. We are very insisting on good practices, do things in your testing server, etc. But we do know how challenging can be to export metadata, import metadata with existing configurations. So this one is focusing on improving as much as possible that process, so that one day it's a seamless process where you just click and export and import, and the world is beautiful. However, because we have limited time, how are we going to address this, Marcus?
Yeah, this is one that is a little bit disappointing, perhaps. We are doing one thing that is really good in this release that will build up towards the dream that Marta shared, and that is getting better output from the metadata import. We're going to work on the messages you get when something fails. We're going to work on the feedback you get about what was changed. And we think this will be a very good first step on the way. We haven't mapped out the rest of the journey, though. We're not sure how we will get to this end goal. We will keep the goal. We want it to be really simple for you guys to set up a good multi-environment where you would make your metadata changes in the development environment, migrate them to a staging and test them, and then go into production. We don't want that to be a pain. We want that to be easy. And we want most people to do it.
And the next one on metadata management is on integrity. So this is the one that this is also not new. This is an old friend. Many things have been done and were presented in what's new, merging metadata, etc. But we know it can be better. So the vision is that we can implement features that really support identifying and fixing those potential inconsistencies, but also preventing them at configuration and making sure we don't let a UI configure things that are actually not okay in the background. And in this one, we are doing a bit more, aren't we?
Yeah, the first thing, as you might know, we are working on new maintenance app. You have seen it in preview a few times. And we are unfortunately now in the situation where we have two apps. We have the old app and we have the new one, and we are working on re-implementing on the old what we have in the new, what we have in the old. And we have to finish that work before we can really do anything else. Right? We don't want to keep expanding the old one. We want to finish the new one, get to the finish line, and then start building the features you want. Doing that in the new app, we have also decided that we're not going to go very far in building a workflow for adding tracker programs and all this advanced stuff that is not going to get good enough anyways. We're going to build a very bare bone app that will allow you to do anything and make sure there are ways of extending that app with all the innovations from the field, with the tools that you guys need. We will make it easy to build something on top of it. Build a smart tool for adding data elements that you want, or build the workflow in that you need when you work on your metadata, and plug that in and share it with others. That's going to be really important in this new app. We want to maintain the minimum. Then we will also build merging tools for metadata for cleaning up. Some of them might come from you. Some of them will be core. These are in the future. We do, however, have a very exciting app that we are working on that we will plan to release in 43. We're working on the name for it. Script app, scrap app. There's been many very good suggestions. And API Explorer, we want to make it simple to write logic and run it on your backend, like cleaning up the white spaces. I saw many of you in Jason's session about metadata cleaning and integrity, and there's a lot of the things that we need to clean up that we want to make simpler to build. And all good that you can build an app with the AI very quickly and get the header bar and a lot of garbage code and then a small piece of code that actually is useful. We want to make sure that we will give you a good boilerplate here and a place to paste in your logic, being written by AI or not, and run on your data if you know what you're doing.
That analysis, this is the challenge was that sometimes the metadata configuration is very visible from the analytics apps, and that's a bit difficult for some users. So the vision is to facilitate the access to data so that they don't have to think of how is this configured, but more like what is the data I'm actually wanting to analyze today. This is a huge challenge and not easy to solve, but there are ways in which we think we can start with. And yeah, and let's hear a bit about them.
Yeah, so this is one of the big things we are doing now in 43. We are working on the new app, or rather replacing the old event reports, event visualizer app. As you know, we already have the line listing app, and there is a lot of similarities between line listing and event visualizer event reports. We are working towards one app now for individual level data, and we think that will be, thank you. We hope it's going to be super simple when you go in to analyze your data, very intuitive where to go. We want to make sure the switching between the apps is going to be very seamless, and that there will be an overall better user experience for anyone working on analytics. There's also one big enough worth a special mention, a new Organit component. We're going to build one Organit component. It's going to be used everywhere. That contains searching, that contains the functionality that is needed everywhere for a smooth user experience. So a new Organit component is it's not going to be finished in 43, but we hope that some apps will use the new one in 43, and we'll finish it in 44. There's some other updates that's also worth putting up here. We will continue working on aligning the Maps app with the rest of the suite, so that even though Maps is still going to be a different app, it will behave the same and look and feel the same. We're going to improve the relative week support for epi weeks and make it possible to do more analysis on epi weeks. And this small last one, we also think you will enjoy. It's nice with the dashboard presentation mode, but we appreciate how when you put this on a big screen in a room, you want it to rotate automatically. So we're going to do that too.
And then enrollment data model enhancements. And the purpose of this objective is actually to respond to new use cases and needs. This one is especially informed by the education domain. So one would think, oh, but the tracker data model is pretty flexible and complex already. Is there any layer that can be added to it? Yes, it is. Many. But we have chosen one to start with, which is?
Yeah, so attribute option combos can be applied on the event level already. We are adding it to the enrollment level as well. And one of the use cases, as Marta said, is the EMIS. We have bumped into many others. We think this is a logical addition that will make sense. It makes sense in our model, it makes sense in our code, and we hope it will be really useful for EMIS and for others. Thank you.
And then security. Being compliant to the OWASP framework level 1, there are 3 levels. It is on the vision of DHIS2 today. So we hope that can A, help us be more secure, but B, also help you explain that we are secure. So there are many steps for this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there are actually 31 steps, 31 things we have to do. I know because we have a filter in Jira, and 3 of them are big enough for a special mention. That's these 3. We are working on the 2-factor authentication for Android as well, and this is going to finish this release cycle. We also want to build CSP headers and a CSRF prevention strategy in 43, and we're going to make sure that it's not. It's going to be practical. The CSRF protection we will implement is going to be practical, but good enough for claiming level 1 OSVS security. And then we have, as I mentioned, 31 things to do. We will get to some of them in 43 and the rest in 44. So when we talk about 44, you will be able to claim OSVS level 1. And that's the plan.
And then the previous to last, I think, it's to integrate external individual level data. We do know that there are many systems out there in the countries and organizations with a lot of data from patients. I can say the magic words EMRs and all of this. We do know we don't want to replace those systems. We want to make it easier to DHIS2 to connect to those systems and get the relevant data when necessary. So any action within this objective is just to help make that process a bit more seamless. Full stop.
Yeah, and we know that one thing we always talk about here when we talk about this is that we have to go to real use cases, to real countries, and find the real problems before we are confident that they're useful. So that's what we're going to start with. We are going to go to 2 or 3 countries. This is something we have set aside time for and a team for, and we're going to start with this and explore the use case there. We expect future initiatives from that to get to the level needed in these countries. That's our objective. We also have an ongoing initiative for building and improving tools for integrating. We're not going to stop that work. We're going to keep that work going as well. But we are going to the countries and look for the input there.
And then sorry, I need to cough and switched it off. Last but not least, software priorities. I think the most time we spent on this objective was to find the right name, but we landed here. It's not only technical, there can be also functional things that are actually needed independently of the strategy, high-level strategy priorities. So this is focusing on maintaining the DHIS2 secure, modern, and relevant in the broader technical or technology ecosystem. And we thought it's also good to tell you what are we doing on that end, even if it's not fancy, or maybe it is. It depends on the audience, but yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to mention this, and this is stuff that we would have done anyways with no strategy, with no direction, with no discussion. This is non-negotiable things we are doing, and one of them is to end up with one parser in the DHIS2 platform. We have a great new parser, a PEG, we call it a PEG parser, that we are running for all our expressions, almost, except that we also have an Antler engine on some of them, and we want to clean that up and consolidate. Much like with the program rule engine, we want the same engine, the same expression parser everywhere. We are doing a database update in the Android SDK. That was already ongoing, and we're going to keep going and finish this. We have some, as we talked about on Tuesday, now that we are serving a global shell, an app global shell, we can suddenly build features that work the same everywhere across all apps. So we are going to do some, we call them cross-instance user experience feature, but what we really mean is that we can finally build session expiration that's the same everywhere. We can build logic that improves the platform in the same way in all the apps at once. So session expiration is the big one. And then in the same top menu, we mentioned it briefly on Tuesday as well. The top menu, the new navigation menu is extendable. And what we mean by that is that you can build apps that plugs in their own shortcuts. But we also want to be able to build logic into that menu so that you could type a command and go directly to the screen for adding a new data element with the name already filled in, or doing something else that logging out, or we want to be able to type into there, and we want that is going to be an extendable model that you can build your own commands on. That is useful for your users. And then the Hibernate, the most exciting one, Hibernate upgrade. We have to upgrade the Hibernate version. We were falling behind. This is all due, and we are doing this upgrade now. And then you might be wondering, what if, where is my thing? I was missing this. So the last part here, Marta will talk a little bit about how to interact with this roadmap, how to influence us going forward. And I'll give the word back to you.
Yep. So, yeah, I guess the two things we want to tell you now is how to follow up this ambitious plan and how to contribute to it or the upcoming ones. So the answer is in discovery. This is new, not new. We have been using this from last year. I think it's going to be new for a while because the previous friend, Jira, was there for many, many years, and we are all very used to it. So discovery is adding a layer on top of Jira to make it easier to understand and follow up what's going on. Jira is there in the background and keeps being open and everything. But we are adding a more user-friendly layer for you to navigate. So there are two things I'll show you in a minute, but just to put your attention on the right places before. Roadmap UV43 is where you follow up the work. Propose ideas is where you contribute. So let's open that and see how it looks. Of course. Can I continue at max? Should I take this
All your
screen out
Jira
of here?
secrets.
Yes, it seems like you are well configured. Yay! So let's make this a bit smaller. So two places quickly. Follow up the roadmap. In here, you have a list of all the ideas, and an idea here is an equivalent to an initiative. And everything we have discussed or explained today is listed here. And you can navigate it by objective, which objectives are these things addressing, by strategic priority, by product area. Play with it and give us ideas if you want to see it differently. But here is where you can follow up the work. And how do we connect this with Jira? Let me find one that looks great. For example, row-based data entry. Here you will find a description of the problem, etc. But the interesting part is in delivery. There is a link to an epic in Jira. And that is where you can follow up the plans and the progress. Similarly, for the new maintenance app and the huge amount of work that is behind that. So you can really follow up Jira and have access to it, but it's kind of easier to navigate the way in. So this is for following up the roadmap. If there are changes, which I think we can all say now that there will be as we go.
Oh, no.
In the plans.
We will deliver on these plans. There is no doubt about that.
Are you recording?
No, but maybe it's worth mentioning that we have gone pretty detailed through these plans, and this is what we believe at the moment. Of course, we don't know everything about everything we're doing. We're going to learn as we go, and we even have some initiatives that is called Learn. So there will potentially be changes to the plans, and we want
it will be reflected here.
Yes.
In the unexpected event of a change of plans, it will be reflected here.
But we promise the intents. We will do that.
I think the important part is propose ideas. So now, if you have and we have intentionally introduced the term ideas, because we used feature, Jira feature, but then we are telling you, don't give us solutions, give us problems, and all of. If you have an idea, I need this. Okay, then share your idea, and it's shared here. You have a list here of all the ideas that have ever been shared or proposed, being delivered or not. And I think the strong message here is don't create features in Jira. Issues of type feature, they don't go to Jira anymore. They live here. When do I go to Jira? To report bugs. Bugs live there. And the development team is following up there, and the product team. The ideas live here, and here we triage ideas, and we say, okay, that's already supported, or that's proposed. Proposed means we haven't looked at it. It's under consideration. We are somehow analyzing it and then assign to roadmap. So when you want to propose or share something to be considered in the roadmap, just come to all ideas, look for something similar. Does it exist? I can add on, share my use case, share my user story. No, then I create a new one up here. I'm going to stop now. We are 3 minutes over time. But it would be great to have questions, but we don't have time. So maybe the masters of ceremony can tell us what to do.
Sure. So I think there'll be plenty of time for questions and conversations in our social event this afternoon. So hopefully all of you will go to that up at Solingsbahn and find find folks and ask them more questions about the plans and maybe share your ideas, but make sure they also end up in the portal where the ideas are supposed to go. But plenty of time to talk this afternoon. We do have a couple of things to go through before we have our closing plenary. So we're not going to get there quite yet. And I'm going to lead us through those if you guys want to.
All right.
Take your stuff.
Thank you, everyone.
Marta. Thank you. All right. So we do have some fun things to do now before we wrap up. And so I will get out of Jira here and close this presentation. All right, so the first thing that I'd like to share with you is actually an announcement before we go into the next phase. And this is of a new conference that's coming up later this fall. So this is a conference hosted by HISP Asia and HISP UIO. I don't know if we have the HISP Asia team here, if anyone wants to say anything about this event. I think John.
After the things, okay, anyway.
We're just giving you, your microphone has to warm up here. Here you go.
Okay. Hi, so this is our HISP Asia, the 4th annual conference. This time we are conducting in HISP Indonesia in Bali. Yeah, so it's 3 days. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a 3 days annual conference. So please, if you use your phone, you can actually scan the QR code and it will take you to the registration page. And then there is a new thing this time. We also have included HISP group. So which will be, so any HISP group wants to attend how HISP Asia has been doing and implementing DHIS2 in Asia and Pacific region, please join. And this one is in October 15th to 17th. So it's a 3 days conference. So where we'll have all the items. We are focusing on what's new, same thing what we are doing on here, but also tailored on few of the Asia region, the experience from the different countries. So if you are in this particular part of the world, please join. Outside there is also the handouts, which is just in your coffee table. So you can also take and distribute to the people. Yeah, thanks, Max.
Yep. And for anyone who thinks that Oslo has been too cold this week, I'm sure Bali will be much warmer. All right, now we have our annual opportunity for you all to give us feedback on how the conference is going. So I'm going to try to open this up here if I can get this to cooperate. And this is an online survey. So if you all scan the QR code there on the screen, you should be able to give us your feedback. We have just like 10 or 11 questions here. And as soon as a couple of you had a chance to get it up on your phones, we'll get started. And if I have trouble with this, I'll have one of my associates come up and help me because I haven't actually led one of these live before. Survey mode. Okay, maybe you should come up and help me with this. Survey mode.
Yeah, it's survey, so you're good.
Just present?
Yeah, it says there's survey.
Okay,
That's just
there
so
we
we
go.
can move
Great.
on to you can-
Okay, so hopefully everyone's ready. We'll get started. So first, did the 2025 annual conference meet your expectations? So here we have 110 people voting, which is great. So far, it looks like mostly yes or totally yes, and that is what we like to see. As I'm talking, it's going down, so that's a bad thing. I guess I should, feedback I'm getting is talk less, so I can do that. Looking at the next question, please describe your experience at the 2025 annual conference. Yeah, I see a lot of good positive feedback here. Some good comments on climate health, eye-opening. We did some great interviews this week with people, and I think one question we ask everyone when we interview them on camera is, what do you think of the conference? And it's always great to hear people having a really energizing experience, talking to others in the community, learning new ideas, bringing stuff home with them that they've learned from other people, and that's really what this is about. And someone says, great beer, Scott. That's also nice to see. And some AI comments there. What kind of sessions do you like the most? Looks pretty even right now. We have only had 30-something votes so far, so we'll wait a little bit. We did introduce 2 new session types this year, which were the lightning talks and the side sessions. So those are things we are looking for feedback on, because we want to know if we should continue with that model for next year or do something different. The lightning talks are really there to give us more flexibility to incorporate a lot of different presentations that we didn't maybe have to fit into a designated session like we've done in past years. And the side sessions, more like working sessions or mini conferences on certain topics. So it'd be good to know if you like those or if you think we should do it differently next year. This is the perfect time to let us know. And what were your 3 favorite sessions this year? So climate and health is a big one I see, and AI. Obviously, what's next is coming in there. We gotta give it a few seconds for people to fill this out. I know this takes a little bit longer than just clicking which ones you like. Yeah, research, it's good to see that showing up. How many people attended the research session? And is anyone submitting papers for the DHIS2 special journal? I hope so. If not, talk to Johan if you haven't heard about that already. It's very exciting that we're gonna have an issue of a journal that's designated, that's especially for DHIS2 related research, which is great. I think that'll be the first time ever that that's happened. Yeah, it's really excellent. Looking at the next question, what was the most valuable or important thing that you've learned? I've got some stuff about modeling and CHAP and AI. That's obviously a very hot topic for us and something we're still learning about. So I think we're learning about this together. Yeah, but DHIS2 is a very capable and loved platform. That's great to see. And I think the collaboration also, that's really important. That's what I think we see a lot of at this conference is people coming together from around the world, different countries and different programs, different use cases. But there's a lot we can learn from each other, which is one of the reasons why we keep having this conference year after year, is because we see it as a really generative moment where people come together and learn collaboratively from each other. Were there enough sessions this year? We reduced our schedule a little bit this year, actually. I think we had maybe 6 or 8 fewer sessions than we've had in previous years. And that was to make room for more time for networking, basically. Because we know that people also come here to talk with each other and not just to listen to us talk to you. So hopefully that this is the right balance of time for yourselves to talk amongst each other and time for people to attend presentations and hear from presenters. It seems like we found the right balance. That's good to see. Wasn't enough time for networking. Some people would still like more. You can network after the conference is over for the day too. That's totally allowed. Song's fun, yeah. Feel free to hang out at Song's Fun as long as you like. Sun will set eventually, but not for a while. Please share your feedback on the conference agenda. Good PowerPoint presentations are not shared. We're going to get them up there. To be honest, a lot of them come to us literally minutes before the sessions start. So there is a bit of a lag between when we can get them back to you. But we'll do it as fast as we can. I'd be happy to say that this year we have been pretty good at keeping to our goal of getting the YouTube recordings published the same day as the conference sessions. So most of those are already up there. And the remaining ones from today will be published by the end of the day, hopefully, if not Monday the latest. But if you want to watch anything you didn't get a chance to see in person, you can just go to YouTube and see it there, including, I think we had 20 or so sessions interpreted into French. So if you're a French speaker, there's a lot of material there for you to see too. Some conference agenda feedback. Some people say too much climate and health. Some people say just enough, maybe more. More visibility to posters. Yeah, I think we always want more ideas on how we can make the poster experience engaging. So if you have real thoughts for us, maybe things you've seen done well on other conferences, just send us a message. We're happy to learn from where it's been done better. No party. There is a party. Today is the party. We just haven't had it yet. We only have 2 hours to go, so don't worry. We'll get there. Are there any kind of sessions, events, or topics you'd like us to add for next year? The more curricular activities, competitions? Yeah, there are a lot of good ideas here. We also did talk today, this came up in a meeting earlier today, that we should have more demos, more interactive stuff. So I think we'd like to explore that a bit more for next year. So people get a chance to really get their hands on DHIS2 in different contexts. Bring back the pizza, somebody says. Okay, that's something for us to talk about. Pizza fans. Logistics, what do you think? The venue, materials, food this year? In previous years, we've gotten a lot of complaints about the food. So we did make some changes to the menu this year, and hopefully those were positive. I don't see any negative comments about the food yet. So that in and of itself, oh, there's one. Okay, great. So some people still have negative comments about the food, but fewer than in the past. So that's okay. And general feedback, how can we improve the annual conference? Okay, poster sessions, awards, get sponsors. Yeah, that could improve it. I mean, so the sponsor thing is interesting. We have talked about this internally too. We do try to keep this conference pretty non-commercial. And it's important for us that everyone can come here and sort of participate on equal footing. We could ask sponsors to pay for some of the conference costs and have tables and have their advertising around. That's not something we really want to do because we want to keep this a relatively, egalitarian community and have that be reflected in the feel of the conference. But if we had sponsors, we could do more. I guess we could pay for more and reduce the ticket prices. There is kind of a balance there, but that's why we haven't done that yet. And also, as far as things to give away, we have done more in the past, like mugs. Last year we had T-shirts for our special 30th anniversary. We're trying to be a little bit environmentally conscious, so we didn't want to give away a lot of stuff that people would just throw away at the end of the conference. But we're definitely open to ideas for what people like, if they want things that will, people will value after the conference is over. So I think suggestions are also helpful there. And yeah, it should be cheaper. We try to keep the cost of the conference for you aligned with the cost to us. We're definitely not making money on this. So it's just a question of how much it costs us to operate the conference ultimately. And if we get a donor to fund the conference for us, which we've had at some years in the past, that obviously allows us to reduce costs. But given the current financial situation, we don't have extra funding to pay just for the conference. So we do have to kind of operate it at cost, which means the ticket prices have to reflect the cost to us to operate it. Yeah, good weather this week, actually. So that's a good thing. All right, well, thanks a lot for your feedback. We will read all of this. So anything I didn't mention here live, we'll look at and we'll take into account for planning for next year. Thanks a lot for the feedback. And now we move on to the fun part, which is the awards for this year's conference. So you have to listen to me for longer, which is the bad part, but I'll try to make this as amusing as possible. Okay, so we're going to go here, we go slideshow. All right, so we have a number of awards we're going to give out. And these reflect, things that people have done in the conference, around the conference. We had some competitions that we announced. We have also been sort of keeping track of how people have been engaging with the conference in person and online. And so I just like to recognize the people who have really been very involved and engaged and who have helped make the conference enjoyable for everyone. So to start, we did have a early morning Kahoot quiz the other day. And so we didn't have a ton of people in the room, but those of you who showed up, we really appreciate it. We did have a close competition for first place. So our winner of the DHIS2 and HISP Know-It-All quiz, the Kahoot Master for the year, first place was David Kennedy. All right. And David obviously works here for the core team, so you kind of expect him to know a fair amount about DHIS2 and HISP. So, the next best non-core team member was Eric Chingallo, who's joining us remotely. So congratulations. I think he's joining us online, but recognize that effort. So the Community of Practice Challenge, that was something we also did this year, as last year. And this would get people to explore the COP and do some fun activities that our COP coordinator, Gassim, created. And our winner for this activity was Joseph Gigallo. Congratulations. This is an internal award for the HISP Center staff and DHIS2 core team. As was mentioned in the opening, we had 267 abstracts submitted this year, which is a record for us. And that's a lot of work to review those. So we want to recognize the people who did the most, reading all of your good work and helping us to decide who we could accept as a poster, as a presentation. The person who did the most of this, which is now I think a record 3 years running, was Vittoria Crispino with 97 abstracts reviewed. Vittoria has moved on to another job, but still we want to recognize her for her work because he really helped us to look at all of your great ideas. We do have the next two, number 2 and 3 are pretty close, so we'll award them both. It's a fairly big difference between number 1 and numbers 2 and 3. Next up is Johan Sebo. All right. Congratulations. And then coming in a close third, Bob Jalif. Come on down, Bob. It's all right, there we go. Congratulations. All right. Next up, most sessions hosted. So we do have some people who are very active in hosting sessions as well. And the winner of this award, I think it won't surprise anyone, is quite a talkative person, so a natural session host, and that is Scott Rispatrick.
He's outside talking.
Not a great session. Obviously not our most active session attendee. So there he is. All right. All right, congratulations. All right. All right, and this is our new award, Most Anticipated Parallel Session. And how do we measure this? So one thing you can do on the website is save sessions to your own personal schedule. So what we did was we looked at which sessions had been saved most by the most people intending that they wanted to go and see those sessions. So the number one, the one that was most popular with attendees, as far as planning to go to it anyway, was Tracker to Aggregate, led by Jim Grace and Olaf Hopper. I think this is also a much anticipated feature, not just a session. So congratulations. All right, and our runner-up for this was also fairly close, was AI-powered innovations in DHIS2, led by Guy Schetil. There you are. And Jose. All right, congratulations. Okay, this year we also tried to do a slightly different way of collecting feedback for all of our sessions to try to get some ideas from you on what was working well, what could be improved for next year. And there were a few people who were fairly active in filling out surveys that were at the end of each of these sessions. And the number one most surveys filled out was Ajay Remy Bemise, who joined us online. And as far as congratulations. And for in-person participants, we have two. First, we have Oswald Chaga. Okay. And second, we have Antonio Segundo. All right, congratulations. Here you are. Thank you. Okay, most active in the COP, we've had a number of people joining the COP for the virtual conference. This is the primary platform we use to share information about the conference online. And the people who've been most active there are Amalia Lopez, I think is joining us from Uruguay, and Eric Shingallo. Congratulations. Most active in social media. We have a number of people who've been following the conference, sharing photos, sharing videos, sharing about their experience. This helps us to reach out to the larger world who's not here with us and sort of just create energy around the conference around DHIS2. And the most active group for this year's conference is Data Science Nigeria. All right, we've got a team here. You can come on down and get your certificate. And you can take a picture of this one too and put it on social media. It becomes very, yeah. Right, here you go. Congratulations. Thank you. And we also have a runner-up. This is a runner-up now, also won this award last year, is ICT. Down his way. Right. Here. Okay, and now we have just one more award to give out before we go into a couple of the more competition categories. This whole event is largely volunteer run from within our organization. We don't have any people who have as their full-time job planning conferences. We have a lot of people who have to pitch in to help make this event happen. And especially during this week, most of the people you've seen around wearing these blue staff badges who've been helping out, they're primarily people who work on the DHIS2 core team. So it's probably a software developer who gave you your name tag when you showed up, or help clean the room after you all leave, pick up coffee cups, that kind of thing. So, it's all people who've just chosen to give some of their time in their work week to pitch in and help make this event happen. So we want to recognize them too. These are the people who signed up and did the most during this conference. So number one, we have Wadika Madanga. Great, thank you. And we have a couple more we'd like to recognize. We have Stian Sandvold and Ingun Samsoy. And I think they're, yeah, they're actually out working right now, so they can't be here to collect their certificates, but we'll keep them for them. And next up, we have the photo presentation, or we do have a photo album that we've been collecting photos from people for this conference. And we selected 4 categories and just recognize our favorite photos in each of these categories. So we have presentation, audience, interaction, and selfie. So our favorite photo for presentation is this one, of Marta. So, I like the gesture there. I think it's a good. And for presentation, this is audience. So we have a great audience shot here from the opening day. For interaction, we like this one. We have the sort of capturing the moment of people chatting outside, showing like a real engagement. And then for selfie, we have this one from Prosper. Yeah. Some cross-border. Yeah. Okay, and now for our last category, I'm going to ask Austin to come up and help present this one. This is our App Competition Award winner.
Thanks, Max.
There you go.
Thanks, Max. And thanks to everyone who voted this year for the app competition. We had several hundred votes, which is quite good. You all saw the videos of the app competition finalists. We also had more than 20 applicants. That was really hard to choose those 3. And I was really impressed with all of the engagement we had on the community of practice as well, with people engaging with these, talking about which ones they thought were interesting, which ones they thought they would be useful, and maybe lobbying a little bit for their favorite candidate. And also the engagement from the teams that submitted these applications as well, to really engage and say, we want to share these, we want to see how you want to use them, we'll schedule a time to do a demo with you directly, those types of things. And there was only one winner of the 3. And I'm really excited to announce that our app competition winner, let's have a quick drum roll as we go through this. Our app competition winner for 2025 is FlexiPortal from DHIS2. So Gift isn't with us here in person today, and he was actually sick, so he couldn't do the presentation yesterday. Eric Chingalo was the one who gave that one, but on behalf of Gift and his Tanzania, Ismail. I have a feeling this isn't the last we'll hear of FlexiPortal and public portals that all of you are going to build using FlexiPortal, because it's really an impressive innovation. So thank you very much to all the applicants again.
Yeah, and thanks to all of you for making this conference so engaging and exciting. It's really been great to have the week with you all. We have one more panel to wrap us up, and it's going to be Kristen who will lead this one. So, Kristen? Yep, and I will give you your microphone. Yep.
They heard me. So our esteemed panel members should come up on the stage. I think even we have a slide. Oh, I have a sequence. Oh, okay, we can do that one. That's fine. You're there. You take this one. Okay, yeah. Ladies first, you know, so the men over here. Sorry. That is the plan.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, you think, oh yeah, you didn't see my slide, my message, but that's okay. You have one for each?
Yeah,
Because I was doing, okay.
we have 4 headsets and 1 handheld. Who does not like headset?
No,
Okay, you do not get this.
I'm happy with my cookies.
Okay, so not wasting any time between, Sognsvann and this esteemed panel, where we hope will be inspiring all of you to have interesting, collaborative, inspirational conversations at Sognsvann. And we have to admit, we want to improve, but we haven't improved on this one. We forgot to tell everyone that all these annual conferences, before that one, expert conferences, ends with a party. So many people are leaving, and we are so sorry. We should, and we have to remember people to inform that you're not supposed to leave at Friday, because the big party is after the conference. Because sometimes we do it earlier, and then the turn up the day after is not so good. So that's why we do it to the end. And we will go to Sognsvann, but we have a slide on that one later. So I started the conference with talking about the difficult times that we kind of step up. We are trying to step up this year to be proactive, to be very concerned and specific about how can we strengthen health information systems in countries? How can we go back to basic? How can we collaborate more? And how can we actually, I see the title is not here, but that's fine. How will we be able to collaborate in order to strengthen health information systems in countries? We proudly present how can we actually keep DHIS2 alive? How can we keep the data systems alive when the investors are shutting down or thinking about something else? So I've been carefully listening through the week and put together a panel that can address various aspects of that one, and also give some, hopefully, inspirational comments on what we can talk about, how we can collaborate better, how we can kind of be able to work harder, better, in a more innovative and more collaborative than we have done before. However, we have some good news, and I was allowed to present it, even though it's not totally out there. We just heard, yes, we just got announced, but not announced as in public. It's not like in the radio, even though I'm a bit of a radio myself, that we got a new contract with World Diabetes Foundation for 4 years work, $1 million. Yay! And that's very, very promising, because NCD data has been lacking in countries. It's really need to be strengthening. And the World Diabetes Forum have worked with Sri Lanka for 3 years, and also Tanzania and Malawi, and they liked the job. So now it's for the rest of the world. So, okay. That's the good news. Then a bit more back to reality. So we're starting with Aishat Samia, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health for Maldives. And Maldives is a bit new girl in town. Huh? Not that long history of the DHIS2 in Maldives. And my question to you is, you have done initial investment in establishing DHIS2 in Maldives. How do you plan to sustain and innovate moving forward? Are you able to mobilize governmental funds, or have you looked to others, investors? Over to you.
Thank you, Christine. DHIS2 experience have been a very useful experience for the Maldives. We've learned, we've evolved. There is so much of learning out there. We do not want to reinvent the wheel. Going forward, I would like to touch base on some keywords. Number one, on sustainability, co-ownership. From our experience, it's important from the beginning to engage all the stakeholders so that DHIS2 is not seen as Ministry of Health's project or one program's project, but it's seen as like everybody's. It's seen as a long-term effort or long-term strategy towards a vision, shared vision. In our case, we are working. The long-term vision for us is a longitudinal health record across the country. So each of these modules, each of these initiatives is we want them to be sustainable, and we want everybody to contribute to the sustainability. Number two, on the financing, we know that these are like difficult times for governments, for donors, for UN agencies as well, because the contributors are the same for like all of these partners. So we have to look for sustainable financing options. DHIS2, for us, being a main part of the national health policy, being a part of the digital health architecture, being a part of the digital Maldives. Each country has their own digital pathway. So DHIS2 to be a part of the overall main infrastructure so that it's, again, to get the government funding, it's easier if it's a part of the main policy. It's more longer term. It's not seen as shorter term. There's also collaborating with all the donors, engagement with the donors, with the UN agencies, so that you know exactly which donor, which UN agency contributes to which component of the DHIS2 or your digital health initiative, so that there's collaboration, there's less duplication, and it is more critical, more relevant now, even compared to like last year or 2 years ago, to work, to collaborate on the sustainable financing. And to gain financing, it's easier to work multi-country, multi-projects, multi-programs, because it's easier to convince donors when you work together. Number 3, capacity building. As we go forward, rather than like only relying on external expertise, to build on your own capacity so that it is more agile, you're able to like attend to issues that you can nationally in like timely manner, so that there's user acceptability, but also having the knowing when to get the expertise. So good collaboration. And lastly, to enhance usability, user support, to give access to users their information, to give information to other sectors, to give information to UN agencies. So it's not only for certain users, like to give access to the public their own information, so that you are also more focused on the quality of the data. They are also demanding for their data, and they are also demanding for the quality of your data. So could go on and on, but for now.
Thank you so much. So let's go to Ghana Health Services. Selamatu Nantogma, Deputy Director, Policy and Planning and Monitor and Evaluation. So what's your, I mean, given the changing funding landscape, what will be the most critical component in order to keep DHIS2 still running, still being part of the innovation community?
Yes, so thank you very much for the question. So I think that she's outlined a lot of the critical things to look at already, but I think I still want to emphasize the issue of sustaining domestic financing. And sustaining domestic finances, meaning that we really have to look at planning comprehensively and budgeting for DHIS2 as we move ahead. We have the National Health Information Strategy that already positions DHIS2 as the national repository. But however, when it comes to budgeting, you don't have it mentioned. And I think that it is important for that to come out clearly so that we know that this is how we move on from there. Being able to institutionalize DHIS2 and actually adding on the roles that are supposed to ensure that the system functions into our routine HR norms, I think will be a very critical thing to look at, because for now, people are employed just people to work in the space, but the roles should be clearly defined, and it also helps in budgeting and knowing how to be able to plan ahead. And it actually keys into the issues of capacity building, being very intentional about the capacity building and specific and needs-based capacity building to ensure that we are actually retaining knowledge and not just thinking about retaining staff in the long term and all that. One of the things I was thinking about this morning was the fact that in our part of the world, the more people are attracted to a particular thing, it appears very important. So being able to build the DHIS2 community, expand it. And when I say expand it, not just those who are really technical, but even the end users to be able to be part of the community and know we are part of the community. For now, what you realize, end users know DHIS2 is data. But sometimes they have a lot of wild imaginations, but they don't even know what DHIS2 can do for them. And whether they are even part of that DHIS2 family. They feel like an external beneficiary, but not part of the family. So I think that being able to get people to appreciate more of the answers and the solutions it can give to them in their area of practice or in their area of work makes the relevance of DHIS2 better, and actually can help us in all the sustainability activities that we want to look at as we move forward. Yeah. Thank you.
Super, thank you, very inspirational. So let us go back to WHO. How will you save us? WHO is also suffering themselves. But however, what do you think will be the biggest risk for health information systems to stop working?
Thank you. I wouldn't say it is a risk, because we shouldn't see it in that way. We need to find a way so that health information system has to be there. I think WHO, and the same with lots of the UN, we are facing even worse, like in terms of budget cuts, in terms of staff cuts. But then out of that, and now we are restructuring. And I think this is an opportunity as well for two reasons. Number one, in the past few weeks, I have come across, and we have been involved in lots of discussions on with the budget cuts, the dimension and the structure of the health information system is changing. There is less money on survey. In the meantime, we are behind a lot on the SDGs and the monitoring of all the national targets. So that we shouldn't say it as a risk. We will say it as a reason why we have to strengthen the health information systems, but also because of all the prioritization is going on. When we have a budget cuts, that means we have to restructure and reprioritize. This is where the roles of data is really, really important. So this would be the first message. Don't see it as a way of losing your position, but this is where you are most needed. That's number one. Number two is with the budget cut as well, and the survey is harder, the use of the routine data is really, really important. And the work on the presentation this week have shown that, there's a lot of innovation going on out there in country where you use the routine data as a way of monitoring, which we understand better, we can respond faster. And then later on, we will shape the way of using and talking to donor on the survey. So survey still we need survey, but we can repurpose it and make it into more a strategic use. And this is where DHIS to come in. I think, we talk about toolkits. WHO has been working in partnership with Oslo University and the HISP network for the past 5-6 years. And we also need to see how we can continue to make it more effective. And I think from WHO perspective, what we need to do is also to build the capacity of the WHO staff as well. We are now in the positions of discussing the next 4 years of the collaborating centers, which is where we can see how we can shape all of this into the future. The next 4 years, how we can work together with the HISP network, how we can strengthen the use of the data as a drive, not the data collection. And I think this is also a very strong feature of DHIS with data analytic embedded in that. And now with all the new development of the AI, of the modeling, I think there's a lots of potential use in there. So, from WHO, what I can say for now is we can use this opportunity of the restructuring and highlight the importance of data and data use, not just within WHO, but also how we can convey that message to all the governments. And we have the ongoing SCORE assessment, which is the assessment of the capacity of all the countries, 158 countries participating in that. And this would be the key way of how we can identify the priorities of the country, calling in the support by all the partners to have a sort of a common targets and common plan for the countries. And 80 plus countries that use DHIS, this is where we can have a new partnership as well.
Super. For those of you not knowing, we have been a collaborative center with the HISP Center, but the whole HISP network actually, with WHO since 2017, and we're going now into a new round, hopefully. So, Dr. Prosper Biombisi, now we are going back to the HISP groups. HISP group leader. So giving this funding landscape, I know that Uganda in particular also, as other countries, has suffered quite a bit from lack of US government funding when it comes to secondment and all. What are the challenges for you to support your country? I mean, also keep the capacity inside the HISP groups. Over to you, Prosper.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Christine. Yeah, I think my version is basically the same for all his groups, and so it's not any different from what you have. Yeah, so as his groups, we are part and parcel of the ministries of health, and it's in most countries you'll find that DHIS2 has been pronounced as their national electronic HMIS. And that, what does that mean? That means that that's where they heavily rely on the data, and particularly also for the donors. So for most of the HISP groups, yes, we've done a great job in trying to build the capacity for the ministries to sustain some of these implementations that has been through capacity building, even working with them. But unfortunately for some countries, we have been working with seconded staff. And so what happens is for when the funding cuts were announced, unfortunately, those partners closed. And so it left a gap with no staff that we even trained. So having very few staff at the Ministry of Health. So of course, this has increased our workload because you have built capacity for quite a long time and they have been working very well and they are now no more. And DHIS has continued because the government has continued planning. So it's been a lot of workload for most of us that you have to take on more and above what you had planned for. And it has also, it hasn't come to light for most of the partners. We see a lot of dropping because DHIS is not only a platform that is maintained at the national level, being a central repository, there are a lot of structures up to the service provision or the health facilities that support the data collection and transmission. So we will see a lot that is happening in terms of reduced reporting rates, reduced data coming in, which again, as his groups, we have to come in and be able to, see how you make calls, support even to the end level so that data can be coming into the system. But most importantly, this also happened at the point when we are announcing these good new features in the DHIS2. That every country is awaiting to see how to get 43 and even now got 44 very soon. So a lot of effect is coming on the infrastructure upgrade to be able to accommodate that. With a lot of presence of partners, we are generating quite a lot of data. And our servers are getting full day by day. So we need to keep, procuring servers and all that. But most importantly, is we are looking at to see that we can keep DHIS2 to the latest versions. But for you to be able to upgrade some of these versions into the new versions, you require training, which the ministries want. And this has heavily been supported by the partners, and so we are going to have a stop and see what kind of mechanisms can we be able to keep and maintain the DHIS2 to the next level. Yeah, I think that's mostly what is affecting us, but we as, I think, as the HIS group, we really want to appreciate the partners who are supporting and who are still supporting us. We are promising that we'll continue to support. Somebody defined HIS group as equal to pro bono. So our pro bono work is highly increasing. And of course, we are faced with a situation that we cannot maintain all the staff load that we have. So some may have to become volunteers.
That's a very important point, that in good time, pro bono works. When you don't have that much money, it doesn't really work.
And the staff.
So this is something to think about, just contemplate. So, Dr. Busaye, you can come a bit closer so you can escape from the plant. The plant is nearly killing you. So,
yes.
The president of Biosystems, dear old friend, given the changing funding landscape will also affect you as a kind of service provider on top of DHIS2 and using DHIS2 and supporting countries that use DHIS2. So what are you looking at, the changes, the challenges, the risks in the future for the countries you support?
Yeah, it's actually quite good that you use the word changing, because changing has two dimensions to it. In the funding landscape, one is contracting, which is very visible and everybody knows that. But second, it's also dynamic. And this is what people are not really seeing, because there are other sources of funding that are opening up at present that we're seeing. And so in practical terms, from the contracting funding, what we're trying to do with the countries we work with and the clients we work with is to look at cost-saving efficiencies. And that's pretty important. For so many years, instances have grown and grown and grown to the point that the cost of maintaining these instances have spiraled exponentially. So we're working with some of our clients to actually see how they can consolidate those instances to bring the cost down, not just the cost in terms of the infrastructure of hosting, but on the human resource for maintaining these instances by reducing the complexity. If you have 10 years worth of data in an instance, do you need 10 years worth of data operationally at your fingertips, as an example? So that's one thing we're doing. On the dynamic side, what we've been able to do is look at other funding avenues, people who are trying, organizations and foundations that are stepping up to fill the gap. Some of these are short-term, and it's been absolutely remarkable. The level of solidarity, that things don't fall apart, is very high, and it's been very comforting for us. And I think that we would be seeing more of that in the future. So one, reduce your cost, and two, proactively engage other sources of funding that can help stop the gap, even if it's temporarily, because we know that political dynamics are also not forever. Things change on a daily basis.
Thank you, Bisoy. And while this changing is going on, what do you see as a kind of an opportunity? I mean, we have now talked a lot about the changes, celebrating that we will now collaborate and unite and partner. Do you have any thoughts about how can we partner now in a bit different way in the future?
Yeah.
I mean, the year to come. Let's take 1 year, or maybe 3 years. Got 3.5 years to go.
I would say 3 years, maybe. Alliances are critical now. Where we used to have competitors, perhaps that still maintains in some form, but collaboration, the greater good trumps the individual benefit. And we need to begin to reimagine and reframe what the market is. And as we reframe what the market is and what the new normal is in terms of funding and what we can achieve and where we can achieve it, we can come together and leverage the strengths of different organizations to provide more for less and to be able to open doors that individual organizations can't open. And this is at multiple levels. So there are certain global organizations that are interested in coverage and footprint. As an organization, we can't be in every country. So what do? We are able to tap into the richness of coverage that the HIS groups over many years have been able to develop. So if organizations are saying, you know, BAO, how many countries can you service for us and set up these instances in the next 6 weeks? We're not going to be in Asia and in Bali in 6 weeks. That is not going to. So we know our man in the house who's HIS Asia. In Africa, we have HIS Africa. So in terms of coverage, alliances with local organizations that have developed trust and credibility and legitimacy is critical. And sometimes we might not have the same economic and business strategy, but we can still work together and above all those things. From a more strategic position, there are certain foundations that we also find that if we knock on the door, they don't know who we are, or they don't have enough information about us. And so, again, to be able to work with trusted, known globally sort of brands like the University of Oslo, maybe even Global Fund and WHO, to come alongside to present a compelling proposition to these large foundations that sometimes the problem is not the funding, is where to direct the funding and to give them a vision for what their funds can do. I think it's an unimaginable, limitless possibilities in those kind of collaborations going forward.
Very, very true, as we normally say, which is not really good words these days, but however, we have absorptive capacity because we are so many. And we have shown that we can turn around fast. So I'm now twisting my head whether I should go to Maldives or I should go to continue with his group. I think I will turn my eyes on Maldives because it's interesting also to hear from the ministry side how you look at it. I mean, Aishat Samaya, how do you think the potential for collaboration now? What can we do now that we maybe didn't think about earlier? Yeah, you have.
There are many avenues. I would like to touch on some. One is like collaborative work together. Like even in the sessions, we found that like we were working on the cancer registry. Some of the African countries are also working on the cancer registry. So these are like funding that spend like around the same time. Could be like very similar. We haven't seen the modules, but then if we could if we could work together on shared like modules, this could like we could combine the funding and we could have a shared module or shared like vision. So this could really work and working smarter, working together smarter. So there are like many collaborative approach, like learning from each other. So there are like many similar countries. If we could learn from each other, if we could have like exchange programs, then we would move faster. There are so much of opportunities and opportunities of funding where we haven't gone into like climate change and health. Like there is a lot of funding available, but we might not link our modules or our system with climate change and funding. But then wherever there are funding to link and develop our system through them. So the option is really unlimited.
Thank you. And moving over to Ghana, I just want to appreciate and maybe brag a bit about Ghana Health Service. Has always been very, very fast and furious when uptaking innovations, building capacity inside the ministry, which is actually pretty cool. And that's kind of like a lighthouse, I would say, to see how far we can go with our own capacity. However, I mean, so what do you think that this kind of changing dynamics, as Bisoye is talking about, that's always an opportunity. What do you think we could do together now that we could initiate when we have so many partners in the room, we have so many different agencies, and there's so many unsolved problems?
Yes, so yeah, that's I think being able to, like you mentioned earlier, being able to pool the resources together from different avenues to be able to focus it and manage it in a more efficient way will be a very good place to look at in terms of ensuring that we're able to get sustainable funding for the DHIS2 system and as we move along. And also in terms of cross-sectorial inter-collaborations. So you may have, for instance, in Ghana, whether statistical service, the meteorological service, or you may have the bets and dates and all that. We seem to be building different systems to do the same thing. So collaborating and earnesting, putting all the efforts together and the funding together will be a good place to look at ensuring that we are efficient, we are solving the problem together, and actually linking the data and answering the questions that we want to answer will be a good place to look at. And also regional collaborations within even the African region, being able to gain from technical support from each other in terms of capacity building as well will also help in sustaining DHIS2 also as we move along. There's a lot of homegrown technical expertise as well that we have to look for instead of always looking out for it as well. And that will also help in the long run to ensure that we are using the little funding that we have to go as far as we can. Yeah.
Thank you so much. WHO, Anne. So what do you think WHO can contribute when it's come to this kind of maybe cost-effective collaboration? I'm a bit inspired. I'm thinking of, even though we mobilized a lot of funds during the pandemic, however, we were locked down and we were creative and we started to collaborate across the globe. We didn't even care which continent, whether it was innovation from Sri Lanka going to Ghana or to Uganda or to Tanzania, we didn't care. So, I mean, difficult times also call for creativity. How can WHO help?
Well, I think I like the word alliance. That's what we need to be together. There are two things. I have been trying, calling for the supporting for the core function of health information systems. And DHIS is a very good example of that when you have the foundational functions. Most of the donors and partners, when they fund programs and they fund the data. But actually everybody overlooked what builds those data and reporting system. And I'm using this opportunity to call for all the partners. Between DHIS and also with WHO, especially on when you roll out in country, we're always trying to build on that. But I think we need that recognition by other partners as well, that we need to put a certain percentage of whatever programs that need to go into the core function and the capacity, and it's more important than ever because we can't afford to have a separate system, a separate server, and constantly pinching start from one to the others. And I think you will see that in the country a lot. So that is the first goal. Second is we can join together and have a certain, I like the way you said as well, approach different donors and partners to see if we can have it as a collaborative work and support certain country. And when we have identified common priorities and common goals, this is where we can do it together. Everybody look at WHO as a donor, and we are not donor, but what we can do is we can trying to bring all different technical programs together. And we have done that together, and we've tried to implement. But I think the next round to see how we can sort of optimize it, emphasize it, and see the showing more impact of the work, because we also need to work a lot for the country, because at the end of the day, the ministry has a lot of decisions, whether you wanted to have it as a part of the platform or you want it separate. And I know it needs a lot of guts and courage to say, no, we do not want that sort of funding for a separate program, but we want to work it together. And I think this is a place that we can call for that. And that will be something from WHO. We'll try to continue with a couple of global reports and strategies coming out soon.
Thank you, Anne, for reminding us about the partnership that we have had since 2012 when it comes to investors. Investors that have worked together, and it was actually WHO, Global Fund, Gavi, PEPFAR, CDC,
Gates,
etc., UNICEF, etc. Well, comes later. That's now. But NORAD, of course, all actually accommodated by the core Norwegian aid agency, NORAD. Thank you, NORAD. But NORAD is not in the room. But however, so reminding us, I think we need to think differently, because we were able to have this partnership with technical people with the heart on the right place to understand that the core, this is an investment in the future. This is an investment for all the countries, not only for one country, not only for one program. It's not for one pilotitis or some evidence-based something innovations, but a generic platform for everybody to be used. And in order to be able to use it, you need to be documented, you need to be guidelines, we need to work with WHO on best practices, etc. Maybe we should think about partnership in a different way. Because the donors, they're not there, except on NORAD. The best friends. We have gone back to basic. So since 94, NORAD has been supporting us, and they're still supporting us. And without NORAD, we wouldn't nearly be here. So I think maybe we could think about partnerships in a different way, because we have, it's interesting to see that hardly any investors are in this room. It used to be a lot, and now it's not, for reasons. So how can we turn this and think partnership in a different way? To think about how can we partner? I know that is not a question for you particularly, Prosper, but what I really think that we forget, and I think Busoy started it, was actually thinking about how cost effective it is to work with local partners like the HISP groups that already have the eyes and the ears to the government and the door pretty open. However, if it's not you can come there and leave, because then the HISP group have to continue to live with that innovation for the rest of their life. Yeah. So we are there to stay, or us. However, thinking about this partnership, thinking locally more partnership, maybe more universities. I know universities don't have money, but I mean, in the end, what we are well known for is to do a lot with a little. So maybe ask for many littles. Prosper, any ideas? Sorry. to put
Yeah.
that- And audience, you are allowed for a few comments, if I'm not, maybe not so many, but
Okay.
maybe one, if
Yeah, yeah.
anyone.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Actually, Busoy has really put it very, very well. But collaboration and sharing is one of our core values in HISP. We just eat collaboration with for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So if you are if you want to come to the HISP network, you must be a collaborative and you must be willing to share. And so this has really to us brought a lot to us, and that's why we can say that DHIS2 has been successful for all these 50 years, and no wonder we are in these so many countries. So in collaborations, of course, as from this conference, we look at so many ways of really, of course, first of all, intensifying our collaboration and sharing. To stop the reinventing of the wheel so that we can be able to save on the fuel costs. If an app is working very well here, let's be able to share, to have it used across. And we've seen this work very well for education. Share and collaborate across the HISP groups in terms of the human resource. So if you wanted, you are working in West Africa, there is a good resource in East Africa. HISP Africa will get that resource for you there, and you'll be able to be able to operate. We are also looking at collaboration also in a way to adding more tools in our toolbox. We had a good meeting yesterday talking about the different, GPD open source softwares and the proprietary softwares. So that we are, as his groups, we are really ready to collaborate and be able to add this into the toolbox of the Ministry of Health and Education and other ministries as a tool that can be supported. But we need to really work together, because as his groups, we work for sustainability. We don't work and just get out the next day. It's there, we are there for life. So we are willing and looking to see those collaborations. We are also intensifying our collaborations with the cross sectors. And now we're talking about climate. We started with climate for health, but everybody's in the different ministries asking for climate data, education, and agriculture and all that. So those collaborations are also going to be able to bring us more resources that we can be able to use to maintain this public good. Then lastly is also on resource mobilization. We are reaching out to all the different partners to allow us to collaborate to be able to resources that can sustain these implementations. And of course, you've talked about universities as his groups, it's research. So a lot of collaborations are happening in the different HIS groups with universities, and there are research initiatives coming up. There's mental health, which is through Wellcome Trust in most of the countries. And so we look forward to more strengthening these collaborations. But as you come to our collaboration, as you come to our network, be willing to share and be willing to work for sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Prosper. Maybe a bit of a hand there. We have also set up the 25 HISP groups, new one just now, and plus the HISP center. But the 25 HISP groups is now organized in 2 hubs, being ready for partnerships, being ready to actually take on partnerships across HISP groups. So the HISP Africa and the HISP Asia is actually a mechanism to be able to partner across the HISP groups in the region, and not only with one by one. Anyone in the audience that would like to give a comment or a question to this esteemed, fantastic panel? You all are hungry for lunch. We are late lunch. I really think, I can't see anyone. I really think we should give a big hand for this panel. I think you guys gave a very fruitful thoughts food for conversation during our Sognsvann social event. Ola will talk about how you get there and all these more practical things. However, please continue the debate, please continue the discussion, and we will think about, and we will do, and we try to make new partnerships and new way of working together. And thank you so much for coming for this conference, and thank you so much for the panel. New hat. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Står det helt stille, eller? Okay, can I just get your attention for a few minutes, please? So as we mentioned many times now, we have a final party, social event. Many of you, if you are new here at the annual conference, don't know what Sognsvann is, except that there's a metro line that has a final stop that says Sognsvann, and you've taken it every morning. It's a beautiful lake. It's in the forest, and it's very near. It's a 10 minutes metro ride and a short 700-meter walk, or 650. I've shared a bit more detail in the agenda, so including kind of a Google Map pin. But the idea is that after lunch break, we'll all go together down to the metro, the T-bane, and take it opposite of the city center direction to the final stop called Sognsvann. That's a 10-minute ride. It leaves every 15 minutes, and I think looking at the time now, maybe the most realistic is maybe 14:28 or 14:43. But you will get there in time. The weather is beautiful, and we'll bring some snacks. We'll bring drinks, alcoholic, non-alcoholic. We also bring games. We'll have football, volleyball, other kind of beach games. You can also swim. The water is clear. It's a little bit refreshing. I think yesterday the temperature was 14.7, someone had measured. But it could be nice to cool down. It's very easy to get back, of course. You just walk the opposite direction and take the train. That also leaves every 15 minutes. But if you like to party and you stay late, don't miss that last train at 48 minutes past midnight. Then you have to walk back. Just a few things when you're up there and enjoying the sun and each other. We need to take care of the nature and our forest. Don't leave any garbage or rubbish there. We will have plenty of plastic bags where you can help us throw all the garbage, so we can leave a clean, nice beach when we're done. And also, we'll of course serve some beer, some wine, but please be respectful. Drink responsibly and take care of each other. There are many different cultures here. So be respectful and be nice to each other. That is my plea. And then we'll have fun. Okay? I think that's it. As I said,
one thing.
In the agenda, there's a link with a Google map, so you can find it. But actually, if you search on Google Maps for the HISP beach, it will be there. We have been there many times.
And also Austin has organized, he does that every year, a running group. So if anyone still have their running shoes on and do like Bob, putting the shorts on, you can run with Austin and a bunch of guys and girls around the lake as many times as you want. And we will applaud every time you pass us.
Yes, it's a nice run. Okay.
And remember to go to the left. That's where the beach, our beach are. We don't really know. We haven't kind of occupied it, but the more we are, the people will leave, you know, when we come after a while.
Yeah, you see the map there. We walk from the station and then to the left there. Okay, before we close, lunch is ready now. Max handed out a lot of awards, including a few volunteers. I just want to thank Max. I think you've done a lot of work. So Max Max and his team has, I mean, Max has worked for many months, and your team has been here, crucial to make this event happen. So thank you so much. And maybe one more shout out that was not in the award, but we had a lot of submissions, and it's quite a puzzle to put together an agenda, including all the posters, lightning talks. I don't see Nina in here. Are you here, Nina?
Nina, where are you,
But,
Nina?
Nina did an incredible job communicating with all of you and putting together the agenda. So on YouTube, Nina, you can watch this. We all applaud Nina.
Thank you, Nina.
Yeah. Then I think the only thing remaining is to say thank you for coming, and I hope to see you in Sognsvann in a few hours.
Next year. See you next year as well.